Year 1978. Season Summer State, Illinois. County Sangamon County. Location. Details coming from Pawnee. Go north on Pawnee Road, turn east onto Delay Road and follow until it ends. Go north 1/10 of a mile and turn right east onto Lost 40 Road. Follow about a half mile and just before a bridge across Horse Creek, there should be a driveway just to the west of the bridge and on the north side of Lost 40 Road. This driveway leads back onto the old Lost 40 property, which was some years ago bought out by the city of Springfield for the Lake 2 project. As such, this may be public land now. The area of the sighting occurred about 100 to 150 yards up the driveway north of Lost 40 Road, just to the east of the driveway and west of the creek. Nearest town: Pawnee. Nearest road: Lost 40 Road, just south of New City Road. Observed: this was circa 1978. As my friend and I were walking from his house along his 1/4 mile driveway that meandered through the woods alongside of the creek, we had heard some odd noises that caught our attention. At this point, we had been running through the woods for a few years together, felt extremely comfortable in them, and knew many sounds and sign. Neither of us could identify these sounds. I do not recall the sounds exactly, but it seemed to be some tapping noise, somewhat subtle and not alarming. Yet it seemed clearly something out of the ordinary. So we decided to hop the old overgrown fence which paralleled the driveway, penetrate the overgrowth, and go into the woods to investigate. Heading in the direction from which the sounds had been coming, we soon noticed that some of the patches of grass that had managed to grow under the canopy of trees was matted down. The matting looked quite fresh, as all the blades were still quite green and showing no signs of atrophy or recovery, while clearly other patches of grass nearby were exactly as one would expect, not matted down. We then spread out a little bit as we normally did when investigating the woods. Shortly after this, I spotted a footprint, classic human shape with 5 toes, in some dried mud. Clear as day, there it was. Unlike the fresh appearance of the matted grass, this had been here a while, as the mud which had originally received the print was now thoroughly dry. I called my friend over while I looked at it, thinking, this doesn't make any sense. Who else would be back here, and why would they be barefooted? We again spread out, and now I was head down and focused on finding more footprints. Shortly thereafter, I heard a crash in the trees, and my friend yelled, "Run! Run for your life!" And maybe it was this comment that etched the memory of that day firmly onto the memory banks. I could tell in my close friend's voice that he was dead serious. For that matter, he was never a besair anyway. I lit out of there, running through the underbrush, past trees, and hopped the old fence at a faster pace before, or probably since. Reaching the relatively safety of the clearing the driveway offered, and turned and yelled encouragements for my friend to get out of there. I could see him now, emerging from the underbrush. The expressions on his face said this was no joke. Just as I saw him begin to emerge and before he hopped the fence, a large crash of breaking timber happened from directly behind him. Although overgrowth was relatively dense, I could see he wasn't causing the sounds of the smashing logs. Something had apparently broken a good-sized tree or log directly behind him. There was no mistaking the sound of it, or the movement in the undergrowth behind him and to his right, but what it was remained shrouded by the forest growth. He made it across the fence, and upon reaching where I was apprehensively standing, snapped back around, and we stood shoulder to shoulder peering into the forest, both uncertain of what exactly had just happened. I do know these to be certain. Fact: unidentified sounds were coming from the woods. Fact: the grass had the appearance of being freshly matted. Fact: there was what looked to be a human footprint completely intact and showed the entire outline of a foot with 5 toes. It seemed only 10 to 12 inches long. Fact: something or somebody was smashing up some decent-sized logs, and it wasn't us. Fact: somebody who doesn't scare easy was sure spooked that day. Fact: an Illinois state trooper came out that day to investigate our story. The trooper seemed to lose interest when my friend said that whatever he saw was about 7 feet tall. The unknown. Was it a hippie, hillbilly, or prankster who simply liked to walk barefooted around woods that had old, rusty barbed wire among other occasional rusty or sharp artifacts? Or was it a Bigfoot? This remains the unknown.
So we're driving down New City Road. If you look at the mapping project map and zoom in, so we're in New City Road, and I just wanted to show you what it's kind of like here. Sometimes there will be a like a relatively small creek area, like the one we're going across now, and all along these creek areas there are pockets of trees, or the trees follow the creek. That's the only cover here around here because it's a lot of farmland as well. So the section we're going into is also obviously along a creek area, and you can see how there's a growth of trees around there. So if there's any type of creature, it could possibly follow the creek line and stay undercover, so to speak. But we're heading in that direction right now, and I'll show you what it's like as soon as we get onto that road. And coming off a New City Road, this is a much smaller blacktop. This is what it's like on the Lost 40 road as well, which is just up here. So it's more like a 1.5 lane road, as I like to call it, with the rock shoulder on each side. Very typical Illinois farmland type of road. I'm sure a lot of you have seen a lot of these roads around in the Midwest. So back in 1978, I don't know if this house on the left and right up here were around, possibly. They don't look too modern as far as architecture wise, but they could have been here in 1978. Not really sure. But then Lost 40 Road is just around here. As you notice, there are a lot of open fields on the left and right here. And then we're coming across, I mean, from here it looks like a forest. I'm sure it's not that big. If you look on the map, you can kind of see the location. But we're about ready to go on to Lost 40 Road. Alright, so we're turning on here. So, according to the map, the sighting would have been on the left here, and I'll slow down here in a minute and show you the approximate location. So they said it was west of the creek. In the report, they said they jumped a fence. I'm not sure if they're talking about this one. So there's a barbed wire fence up here, a ditch, small embankment, and then the forested area on this side where they allegedly had their encounter. There is a dirt road here, so I'm not sure if that was part of the old property that they were talking about, because they said it was at the end of a drive. But as you can see, it is pretty thick down there. So here's the creek. We call it a creek. It's about 10 to 20 feet wide at spots. It's not super dense, but certainly more so in the spring and summer. And I'll make a turn and we'll come back and go to it from the other direction as well. Just wanted to show you this. So Lost 40 Road isn't very long at all. I don't even know if it's a full mile. It could be. I didn't really measure it, but it's if I was just driving 30 miles per hour, I'd get from one end to the other in just over a minute and a half maybe, so it's not that far. So now we're heading back the other direction. So one side of the road is just open fields. That's the side I'm on now. The other side has some woodlands, mostly along the creek area, and then more fields. So it's kind of, the sighting area is sandwiched in between farm fields with the creek and the trees that follow the creek. Not very thick woods at this time, and of course that was 47 years ago, so Hard to say if some of the land has been cleared for farmland or not, or if it was like that back in the 80s, 78. Again, coming to the bend in the road here, and then the sighting area would be on the right, but it's on the other side of this bridge, so it would be on the west side of this bridge. And if you want to see on the other side of the bridge, so the south side, so this side did not have the sighting. Yeah, there was no sighting over here, but maybe if there was a creature following the creeks, it would go over there. And like I said, there is cover on that side. And then here's this side, the west side of the bridge where the alleged encounter took place. So kind of neat. It'd be pretty creepy in the middle of the night. There's not too many houses around here, so it's kind of isolated. Pretty cool area. Hope you enjoyed.